Hey there, and welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're unpacking something that could literally save you tens of thousands of dollars and months of absolute heartbreak. We're going to walk through the exact property research protocol of a 20-year real estate veteran. If you've ever dreamed of owning a piece of the great outdoors, let's go through this guide together before you spend a single dime. Okay, so here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with the raw land trap, move into zoning and permitted use, explore physical versus legal access, uncover the truth about utilities, dig into soil and water essentials, and finish up with the new buying standard. All right, kicking things off with Section 1, the raw land trap. And the subtitle says it all: don't kick the tires. Think about how people usually buy a used car. You know, the drill. They walk onto the lot, kick the tires, look at a few photos online, and kind of just hope for the best. It's a total gamble. Now imagine applying that exact same logic to buying raw land. Believe it or not, that is exactly what most people do. They see a gorgeous picture of a sunset over a vacant lot, do a quick Google search, and just pull the trigger. But our Veterans Guide stresses a complete mindset shift here. You absolutely must conduct rigorous, actual property due diligence. Because look, if you treat raw land like a used car, you are basically guaranteeing yourself an incredibly expensive headache. The aftermath of skipping your homework is severe. I mean, you could easily end up with a property that is completely landlocked, meaning you legally can't even set foot on it. Or it might be entirely unbuildable. Or worse, restricted by hidden easements that dictate exactly what you can and cannot do on your very own property. Which brings us to Section 2, zoning and permitted use. We need to look way beyond the label. Now, this is where step 1 of our Veterans Protocol really kicks in, and it requires rethinking what zoning actually is. People tend to think of zoning as just some bureaucratic category on a piece of paper, but it's actually the legal boundary of your freedom on that land. The trap here is making assumptions based on a label. You might see a lot categorized as residential and assume, actually a lot of folks assume this, that you can just park your RV there for the summer or build a trendy off-grid tiny cabin. That is a massive mistake. Many counties have strict permitted structure minimums. Just because it says residential doesn't mean your specific version of residential is allowed. So you can't just stare at a map and guess. You need to take direct action. You must call the county planning and zoning department directly and ask them this exact question. Is this parcel currently eligible for a building permit for my intended use? Fill in the blank with whatever it is you want to do. And the golden rule here: get their answer in writing. Your desired use and the zoning must match perfectly, otherwise you risk massive, costly conflicts with the county or an HOA down the line. All right, moving to Section 3, physical versus legal access. Let's make sure you don't get landlocked. Oh man, this is the exact spot where most beginners get brutally burned. We all do it, right? We pull up Google Earth, zoom way in on the parcel, and see a dirt road leading right to the property line. We think, awesome, it has access. But physical access does not equal legal access. Just because it looks like a road doesn't mean you actually have the legal right to drive your truck on it. The reality is, many remote lots rely on private easements. If that easement isn't officially recorded or if it has expired, congratulations, you just bought a landlocked piece of dirt. So your required action for this step is totally non-negotiable. You must request a title report. And when you get it, don't just skim it. You need to scour the exceptions section. This specific section reveals your actual legal access rights. It will also expose utility easements and any CC&Rs, which stands for covenants, conditions, and restrictions. These are critical because they might dictate your entire lifestyle on that land, right down to the required home size or even the specific color palette you're allowed to paint your house. Crazy, right? Let's transition to Section 4, the truth about utilities. It's time to bust the power nearby myth. You will see this all the time on property listings. Power nearby. Sounds super reassuring, doesn't it? But the reality is that nearby is an incredibly subjective word. Nearby to one eager real estate agent could mean 500 feet, and to another, it could mean 5 miles down the highway. If you don't contact the local utility provider directly, give them the assessor's parcel number, or APN, and get a strict estimate for a line extension to your exact coordinates, you are gambling blindly. Never, ever assume. Because, well, it all comes down to the math. Extending a power line can cost you anywhere from $20 to $50 per linear foot. Let that sink in for a second. If that power nearby is actually 5 miles away, extending that line is going to cost you an absolute fortune. It literally turns a supposedly cheap parcel of land into a financial disaster overnight. Okay, stepping into Section 5, soil and water essentials. These are your true homesteading basics. We're looking down into the dirt now, which is absolutely vital if you plan to homestead or live off the grid. The view above ground might be stunning, but the dirt matters just as much. Let's talk about water first. You need to check the county well logs, which are often available online. If you look up your prospective property and see that your neighbor's well had to be drilled 600 feet deep to hit water, yours likely will be too. And drilling a well isn't cheap. A deep well instantly hits your budget with a $15,000 to $30,000 expense. You've got to factor that into your overall purchase price. And hey, beyond water coming in, you have to think about wastewater going out. If you can't hook up to city sewers, you're going to need a septic system. But you have to ask, does the county require a perk test to check septic suitability? If your soil is too heavy in clay or too rocky, the land simply won't perk, meaning it won't drain properly. And if it doesn't perk, you can't put in a standard septic system, rendering the land essentially unbuildable for a traditional home. Finally, let's look at Section 6, the new buying standard. No more buyer beware. After looking at these 4 rigorous steps, zoning, access, utilities, and soil, it's super clear that the old buyer beware model of the land industry is completely broken. Well, LandLimited is trying to change this standard. They operate on a transparency-first model, listing properties with full disclosures of everything they know upfront regarding zoning, access, and utilities. Second, they offer a 3-day no-regrets guarantee, giving you a window to actually conduct the due diligence we just talked about for a full refund. And third, they provide direct access to real estate experts. You can call them directly at 702-482-7512 with the property info to ask about topography or zoning. Ultimately, as our veteran guide points out, property research isn't just about satisfying your curiosity. It is entirely about protecting your hard-earned capital. So before you pull the trigger on a vacant lot just because the sunset photo looked pretty, ask yourself, are you truly prepared to do the diligence required, or are you just playing the lottery with your life savings? Stop gambling, start researching, and ensure your rural land dream doesn't turn into an expensive nightmare.